So really, I want to look into disclosure on consciousness and really who we are, looking at these different aspects. And as you delve further and further down that red pill, things really open up in a way that you start to see the illusionary reality that we're in. And so I'm going to be bringing in scientific material mixed in with some of the Shiji material. Now, for those who don't know who Shiji is, she has a fifth dimensional, seventh dimensional aspect to her. And through this material, they're actually international bestseller books, which is channeled material. They were re-released. The first two were re-released this year with the third. And they were international bestsellers in 48 hours in 4 countries and are still rolling like that on Amazon as well, which really touched me because there's been a lot of, we could say, predictions. I don't like to say prophets or prophecies and things of that nature, that we're seeing these events unfold by the day. And this is a undoing of what has been done to us. And it's all about us going internal with the information. So with this journey today, it does come down to what you're seeing on the screen now. And I'll be going into the makeup of this reality of what I've been shown, which absolutely blew my mind years ago. That things aren't what they seem, that everything's holographic in nature, and that we're all one consciousness interacting with itself. And so through what we see as an illusion.
It's funny, we're having fun with that. But how many people in here have seen a UFO? I don't have to do anything then. No. How many people are having crazy dreams lately? Yeah. Energy's intense. It's going to get more intense. So what's happening right now, it's so intense. I'm going to cover that in the lecture and talk about if my computer decides to come back on. Whoa. What are we doing here? Oh, I love technology. I get around technology and it goes crazy. I always like to start off like with a disclaimer that I'm not your guru. You are. So I'm going to share some things. I'm going to awaken some things and remind you of some things. But everything I'm going to tell you, you already know. I'm just going to remind you of these things. A lot of it's in your history. It's in your books. You know, you've all had past lives in these other planes and dimensions and other advanced civilizations. That's why you're here. You wouldn't be here right now if you weren't connected to this. So when the UFOs come to the ranch, everybody said, you know, why are they coming here to the ranch? And I say bait, you know, and they go, what do you mean bait? You know, and I said, well, it's like it's bait. You see the ship, and then your next question is, okay, who's on the ship? You know, why are they here? And you start asking the other questions, and it cracks the door, and the door opens. And so as soon as that door cracks open, because of our curiosity, and that's our nature, we're going to go through that door, and we're going to find out more and more and more. And especially when people see the ships at the ranch, they all of a sudden their minds are just blown wide open, and they go, oh my God, you know.
So my name is John Vivanco. I've been a remote viewer for quite a while. It's been over 20 years now. You know, my deal was, I'm just a guy. I'm not anything. I'm a student of Zen. I meditate. I'm an artist. And I've always been searching for the root of creativity, to be in the root of creativity and understand what that means and what that is. And that journey is, well, it's taken me into remote viewing at this point, you know, and I don't know where it takes me next, but it will always change and it will always grow and it will always be something that comes from nothing and goes back to nothing. So I started doing this right around just after 1995. That was when it was declassified. And I'll get to what remote viewing is in a bit if some of you don't know. I'm assuming a lot of you do know. But so I was an art student at that time, getting my degree in fine art. And, you know, I was wasn't really interested in any type of psychic functioning. It held no interest for me. I was meditating a lot, but psychic stuff just didn't seem like a path at all for me until, you know, in the United States, we have Ted Koppel Nightline. It's this news program. And I remember sitting there watching it, and he's talking about this technology created by the CIA in the 1970s, where it turned psychics into spies. Psychic spy. It's an amazingly sexy word, right? Psychic spy. I mean, who wouldn't want to be a psychic spy? And then when he said technology with that, I'm like, I've got a metal plate in my head that's heating up. You know, it's like, what am I going to do about this? You know, I don't care about psychics.
Perusing the books they had there. And it was very local. There was only 2 shops up there in the Northwest area. But after going through the bookshelf and sort of asking some questions to management, you know, for instance, some of the books were like The World According to Monsanto. That documentary, if you've ever seen it, it's a documentary that was released maybe about 10, 15 years ago. That blew my mind, researching how big agriculture genetically modifies all the food we eat. It's crazy. I saw the documentary Thrive. How many of you seen Thrive? Yes. And that was a documentary on, I mean, the bookshelf sort of education area at this health food store. Like, what? But I saw that, I watched it, and again, just mind blown. So I was exposed to so many different things there. And I remember going to my college class after I started learning about some of this stuff, and it might have been a chemistry or a biology course. And here I was on the computer researching like Rothschilds and chemtrails, and I wasn't listening to the teacher. I was studying the other things. So naturally, I just could not do whatever they were trying to mind control me with anymore. And I dropped out of college to work there full time. I ended up working at this nutrition shop for about 5 years, managing it for a few years, and proceeded to leave the place for a couple years there, 2015, 16. I personal trained, did some strength coaching, worked for a chiropractor. So I just kind of, you know, I didn't have a degree, which helps you get jobs. So I just kind of had to lurk around and try to find whatever I could make work for a few years. But in 2017, January, so very beginning of 2017, I just couldn't work for people anymore. I couldn't personal train and do that because I just didn't like to be told what to do by other people. But also working one-on-one with people, strength coaching, personal training, chiropractic clinic, whatever I was doing. Number one, only working with one person. And number two, the information that I was researching when I wasn't at work, trying to convey it to people.
Apollo gave his half-brother this staff. Now, Asclepius was the son of Apollo, and his staff was also given by Apollo. Now, if you're wondering why he's the half-brother, obviously everyone knows Zeus slept around a bit, right? Okay. So Mercury had, I think it was one of them's fathers was Zeus, and both of their fathers were Zeus, and they both had different mothers, right? Okay. Okay, so the question is, and this is what we'll be getting into, is why are Olympians behind everything? Why are Olympians behind all of this stuff? It just seems kind of strange. Okay, so here what we're looking at is Mercury, who's holding the staff in his left hand, the wings on his head, as we all know him to have. We've got Hermes. Yeah.
Hermes.
Right, and then in the middle, we're showing you Thoth. Now, Thoth is an Egyptian god, and they say that Thoth is Mercury, that somehow these cultures kind of mixed, and then they were all the same god, right? But is it? So here's something interesting. Now, if you look at that circle on Thoth's head, right, and the 2 horns, now we've got the astrological sign for Mercury right here. So
and also aside from that, when you're looking at Thoth, also that symbol represented Saturn, because when you're looking at Saturn and you can't see the other side of the rings around Saturn, you can only see part of the rings, and so a lot of times, like even the bull going into ball and like all these demonic worshiping Saturn's things, you always see a crescent with like a circle around it, and it actually represents Saturn. So all of these things kind of go together.
Now, this god was known as Thoth in the Egyptian pantheon. Thoth is Hermes. Okay. Thoth penned these things called the Emerald Tablets, which gave birth